Hey up folks, this is basically two parts. First part's a bit of a running session, second part's a bit of a planning and building business, so I hope you enjoy it. You can watch one or other or both. Nice to see you again. Listen, I've got to apologise for a long time between videos. This time round I've basically spent most of my spare time on that crazy AnyRail program, just designing and redesigning layouts that are probably never going to happen, but it's taking all my time up. So what we've got planned for today? Well, what we've got planned is some passenger services. We're always doing these 37s running round and whatnot, so they're nicely parked up in a row there. And funny thing, I opened my lady down in the Spencer this morning. It's been in a box for like a couple of weeks now, probably. And I opened it, and yeah, it's got some damage on front. Look. This front bar on it were dangling down, so it's going to need a bit of super glue. I'm not going to complain too much about it. It is what it is. It's a bit disappointing, but hopefully I'll be able to get the tiniest bit of glue and get that perfect. But look at that. Absolute gutted, really. There were a bloke on Facebook, one of the groups, I can't remember which group, but he were complaining about his accurascale 31 that had turned up with about 4 or 5 pieces fell off it, and he got a rate slating from people saying you can just glue it. And I mean, there were all sorts of bits on photos that had fell off, and I just thought it was all a bit harsh, like to say he'd got a box full of parts. It's like saying to someone, "Oh, my TV don't work." "Oh, don't worry, you should solder it." I mean, it's unlucky that he's had some damage. That backman, I'm going to assume it had damage on it, and they knew about it, and which is why it were a decent price. But I should have opened it and looked. I wouldn't have sent it back for that, but it bugs me a bit, like. But I tell you what, that bloke, he were getting some wrath of the fanboys. He really were. And I mean, I like accurascale stuff. It's all right. Bits do fall off them now and again, though. And I can't, like, one of these bogey chains on my 37 fell off, and I can't possibly glue that back on with my fingers. I ain't got the skill set or anything, so it just runs with 3 now, but not a problem. Is what it is, innit? So my plan for today is to run everything in the right direction, you know, so I don't upset them 86 people. So this stripe here is going to have to do a bit of a turnaround job because he's facing the wrong direction at the minute. So what we're going to do, we're going to get coaches out at siding onto main track, and then he's going to have to back them onto main track, then he's going to have to bugger off round to the other side to get onto the right end. Otherwise there's going to be all kinds of threats and threats of violence coming towards me, which you just don't need it. And today's train, as you can see, is featuring this Network Southeast coach that I bought because it were in sale, and I thought, oh, like, look at that, absolutely don't fit anything I've got, but I bought it anyway, so it's normally just parked somewhere out of sight. But here we go. Look, he's just going to shove them back, and then he's going to get his sen disconnected on this little bit of a magnet bit here. I tell you what, I've been on Liberty Junction 2 overload this last few weeks on my days off. All my spare time I've been trying to plan and think about stuff and all kinds of nonsense. Spent unhealthy amounts of time in front of the computer screen, and yeah, it's, I don't know. I think I've got to somewhat like now. I'll tell you what, just on a side note, that EMU that's just come through the tunnel there, I've got a section of track under there. It must be about, it's just further than my hand can reach. It must need a clean because that was struggling over this certain part, and I can't get to it. I need one of them, you know, them devices where it's on a bit of a stick. I think on my next layout I'm going to make sure that all track's accessible for cleaning, because sometimes it gets a little bit, you get in a bit of a predicament, don't you? So anyway, he's going round to connect up with coaches right way around, so then he can start running, so we're not upsetting them 86, and then we'll crack on with passenger services and everyone can be happy, and I'll get a couple of decent shots in the meantime if I can, and happy days, and we'll talk about what's what. I didn't manage to get to that Gets show. I really wanted to, but it were a rate trek and I wore off, but just had so much going on, sorting car out and all that business, selling other car, and just juggling everything, as well as childcare and entertaining Libby and whatnot. It's just a bit tricky sometimes, so I think I think next decent show that's within reach, I'm going to make effort to get to, because it'd be good to see some of you out and about, and just to see some other layouts before I crack on with mine. I did at one stage intend rebuilding parts of this Liberty Junction layout. I was going to rebuild tunnel, big tunnel, and I was going to rebuild a few other bits just to make it a little bit nicer. But now I think I'm just going to leave it for now and just do minor things on it, because I'm in two minds. I like it, don't get me wrong, I do like it. But if I can build this new layout, and it's absolutely, compared to this, it's going to be massive. It's going to be 3 times bigger. So hopefully that'll be able to fulfill everything I want it to. I tell you what though, just on a side note, that Gets show, I haven't seen many, there's normally boatloads of people doing videos walking around, so you can kind of half go, you don't really need to go because there's that many videos, but at the minute, it's all about this new 31, isn't it? Accurascale 31 that everyone's doing videos on. So that's the hot potato of this week. So yeah, it's a tricky one. So hopefully there'll be some more stuff on that show coming out, unless there weren't that much to film. But we'll see. I like this little shot here, look. I don't think I've ever had this one before, but that looks well. We're then parked up in a line there. One thing I can't get with this layout is really long straight lengths, shots of long trains coming, which is a bit of a shame. And that's what I'm hoping for on my next one, is to have a few long straights. So that should be alright. Hey, just on a side note, Andy Laws, I've fixed them coaches for you. You know, I think you mentioned it months ago and I fully forgot. And then you mentioned it again on my last video. And once you explained it, I kind of got what you're on about. The only reason I was running it that way around is because the HSTs themselves have got the normal tension lock coupling and everything else is magnetic. And believe it or not, I really couldn't be bothered at the time disconnecting coaches with magnets and swapping coupling out, even though when I actually did it, it only took me about 12 seconds. So it was one of them, it was a strange one. And I don't know if you picked up on that then when that was pulling out, them headlights were flashing on and off like crazy. That it's running in reverse technically at the minute, power cars at the back here, but that other end, that dummy end, it needs wheels cleaning, but it's not as easy when it ain't got motors to clean wheels, so it's going to be a cotton bud on a stick job, and I don't even know if I've got any up there because I just use them like crazy. So anyway, yeah, that's that. I'll tell you what, in other news, if I can get my words out, did anyone else see them TMC emails this week about some bargains they've had? I missed out. If any of my viewers bought it, they were a 37 and it was the Bachmann SFX model, and there were one that matched these coaches, what I had my eye on. And that were about 2,500, 248 I think it was. And then there was this one in Engineers Grey, and that one next level, that it was sexy. It was fully sexy, and it were about 248 quid again, and it were about a 400 odd pound train, and they were both weathered by TMC and all. And I do like TMC weather jobs, and that grey one, it was like, I'm going to sit on this today and I'm going to decide. And then I went back on it afternoon and it had gone, and the other one had gone, and also best part of 500 quid saved anyway. It's a funny one because I always wanted regional railways, because I used to see them when I was a kid, regional railways trains, and I loved livery. And then when I bought them coaches, I was like, I'm definitely getting these coaches. And I always wanted a Sprinter train, you know, a DMU Sprinter, and I've never really seen a decent model on for sale at reasonable money or even at all. I know there's some Ila Lima ones, but I only kind of run more modern stuff, more modern models. And yeah, a bit of a tricky one, so I bought them coaches, and then I were always going to buy a 37, and I've had a few on my watch list before on eBay, and I've never pulled trigger on them, and it's one of them because I want one, but I don't really want one as bad. It's kind of like that Colas 37. I waffle on about them, and I'd like one, but I don't know if I'd like one enough to actually buy one. So it's just a bit of a tricky one at the minute. It's not a big enough layout to just put boatloads and boatloads into it, and it's not like old days where you can get a rake of coaches and a rake of wagons for about 60 quid. They're like £60 for one, aren't they? So it's all a bit silly now. So I just have to pick my battles. I mean, sometimes like this 66 here, that will just full on giddy purchase. It don't even fit in with Liberty Junction at all, but it is what it is. Tell you what as well, since I've done that back EMF reset on this red stripe 37 here, It runs bang on now. All them issues I had for all that time, and first time round when I was contacting accurascale, they never suggested that repair job, that little fix. So I'm glad. Second time I complained they did, because it's fixed now, and I'm happy as out. There's a shot coming up. In fact, I might have missed it. I've been waffling on. I've missed it. Yeah, he's finished now. He's finished for the day. There were a shot where I run under camera, and it were real close, and I had it really revving good, and then I basically crashed into my hand, so I had to cut it short, which was a bit of a shame because it were really powering through. So yeah, I've missed that, waffling on. So he's parking up now. I've took that. I've had that experiment class 91 or 97. I can't even remember what it's called now. That's been running right up a loop for far too long. So now we've got this mucky one running round for a bit. I know it's got some fans and it's got some enemies, this train, but I like it. It's all right. I might swap on Lady Diana Spencer, might get all internals out of that. Yeah, I'm just not sure, or I might get it sound fitted, that Lady Diana Spencer, but I might steal that piece off at front. Does anyone know if they come off all right, or am I likely to break that trying? Because I might rob that one, because that one's battered anyway, so it don't matter, does it, if that's got a battered thing? Let me know if you know. Anyway. Right, folks, this is as much as I've got done out here. I've moved a few plants out of this little semicircle bit, and it's going to basically be there from that little bush area there to where other dark fence panel is, and I've got to get rid of this big massive tree. So it's as and when I can get round to that. It's probably going to be a couple of weeks before I even start that now, to be fair. I've started stripping that old willow tree down, and that just needs logging up now. Anyway, I got back on that any rail, and it was starting to get right giddy, and I thought I'd cracked it with this, and this will basically, I think it was 3 metre wide room by, I want to say best part of 10 metres. So basically it was 2 loops with a load of bits and bobs. This is station like before, with other side of it with that little industrial area, what's probably going to be a container yard with some other bits and pieces, as you can see, and one runs through to other. But then what I added from industrial area, I added a loop that went round to that see that on the very left hand side there, that were going to be a level above everything else, and it were going to go to just basically some nonsense at end, and have another little bit of interest with a bridge over all other lines. And I thought it were a great good idea. I genuinely did. And then it were going to be them 2 lines. It looks like it's 3 lines, but one of them's only a siding to that other stationy type thing. And then that line up left there, that were going to be on an even lower level. So it was like 3 levels, and it was just getting a bit chaotic. And in my head, I don't know if it's because I had too many beers or what, but I really liked the idea of that bridge look, sweeping across at an angle. But thing is, it left me with loads and loads of tunnels. And I mean, it doesn't do a good job of tunnels, so they wouldn't look as bad as that. But there were basically 5 there. But realistically, it'd been 3 tunnels. One of them would have been a big 3-track wide tunnel. But different levels, and it were all a bit chaotic. Anyway, I sent this plan through to a couple of my little advisors, my advisory committee, and I got their feedback. Anyway, these two bits here, the station and the industrial bit, I'm really happy with. I really want to do a water crossing, and basically that 3rd line on left there, which is now on right because I've spun it round, that we're going to go down, and then it we're going to go through a tunnel under water, if that makes sense. And then it we're going to just go down here, and it had some enormously long straights. And it had some really long sections, to be fair. I mean, it's 10 metres. It's quite a size, isn't it? It's like, I don't even know. It's about 33 feet in it. And then anyway, underneath, basically, I had this little... I thought I could go down under water, do a big loop round underneath other track, and then I was going to have all these siding lines just basically for storage. And it was just a gargantuan amount. There's basically 25 metres of storage. And then with costings and everything, I mean, track alone came to about 1,300, which, yeah, it's loads, but to be fair, it weren't that. But anyway, I discussed it with my advisory committee, and then I realised it were a little bit giddy. So then I came up with this. And basically what I did is, I watched Everard Junction's latest layout tour video, which is a few years old now, but his layout's only 5 metres long or something like that. So I thought, why do I need 10 metres if his is only 5? Because his looks more than enough. So I've changed sizings. This is now 7 metres by 4 metres, I think it is. Or it might be 4.5 metres. And that extra depth gives me more space to work. So what I've done is I've got this non-scenic fiddle yard now, which is, you're going to go through some tunnels, and I've got an abundance of spare track. I've got sidings for locos, I've got lengths for rakes of trains and all sorts, and it'll be all right, that. And it's virtually the same design, really. I've just took out that bridge, and instead of that, I've put like this branch line in on that grey section. Let's have a look. So yeah, each one of these lengths here is a good few metres, so it should hold decent lengths of trains. Them little siding bits up here, they'll hold 2 locos each. That's going to go round to that original train station, so that doesn't really change anything. And that's a decent enough length to hold a decent train, just as it was before. And then from there, it follows it. You go down line, you can then go either onto the branch line or you can join it. So that way is the branch line, or you can just cut across that crossing and join it down. This branch line's going to drop by about 100 mil, and then it's going to go into a tunnel here, and it's going to go under other lines, and there'll be a what do you call it? Reverse loop. That's it. I spent about 60 seconds thinking that up then. So yeah, it goes around reverse loop, it comes back on its end, and then I'll either have to have some kind of automatic braking system into that station, which I might do if I can figure out how to do it. And then that train can just run back and forth, minding its own business. And the reverse loop's a good 3 metres long under there, so it'll be able to do a decent length of train as well. Not that I'll probably run a 3 metre long train, but it's capable. This area where I'm circling there, that's where I'll probably have my containers. That building there, which I just did it as some nonsense, I've put them big massive chimneys. I really like the idea of that, so I'm going to have some kind of big chimney nonsense going on. Nice long straights there. That on left, I don't know what they'll be yet. I'll just decide when I get to it. It might not even be exactly like that. But then I've done this 3D thing, and I've put the bits in now where I'll be able to stand, because it's going to be quite a size. It don't really show it on here. You can't really get an idea of size, but these straights are nice and long. They're a good 5 metres. That bit there that I've just highlighted, that's just going to be it's a partition bit, like a scenic break, and that's going to be programming track, that. So I'll make it look like another line, but that'll be just programming track. Oh yeah, I have to keep editing this because moving this thing around is an absolute nightmare. So yeah, nice long sweeping bends over at water. Should be able to get some nice speed up with that, and because it's now deeper, it's just made it a little bit better. I've been able to move that round to the side, and then look at camera angles I'm going to be able to get here, so I'll be able to get a nice shot of that. If you remember that picture, I'll see if I can put it on now. Yeah, this here, look, with bridge over water, some mountainy stuff in background, or trees or whatever, and yeah, it'd be all right. And again, from a filming point of view, it's going to get some nice looking shots in it. I probably won't buy all these pine trees, because that's probably about 900 quid's worth into it, let's face it. But that just gives you an idea. If I put a load of trees in, and then I've got this big imposing bridge thing here, I don't know what I'm going to do here, but I do want it high like that. From this side, I might have it as like a 45 slope down though, so I just don't know yet. We'll have to see. It's just a work in progress, but it's just really to say where lines are going to be. Really, all scenery is going to be completely different. It looks quite basic, but you just got to kind of imagine it. Whereas Liberty Junction 1 station's underground and you can't really see anything, this one I'll be able to get some nice little station bits, so it'll be all right. And then this bit on right where that drops down, obviously it's all grey and weird looking, but I'll have a nice slope up to next lines, and it'll be a nice little scenic area, that. And that's a right section, it'll just be full of greenery. And I'll just have to practice doing it because I want it to look really decent, and it's going to be a long-term project, this. And that's underneath track, that's showing reverse loop, and somehow I've managed to get I've got like a rogue piece of track. I ain't got a Scooby how it's there, and I can't get rid of it because I can't find it, so it's somewhere in computer system. And luckily it's only a little piece of track and not some big £50 double slip that I can't get rid of, because it'll get me to order the wrong stuff otherwise. And that's basically it. So let me know your thoughts. This bit here where it drops off and looks a bit crackers, it's obviously not going to look like that. But yeah, decent little storage area. I mean, them straights are at least 2 meters long, so I can hold probably, what's that, a good 10, is it? It's about 8 in it, and then I've got running lines through as well. So yeah, I should be able to get some decent speed through there, because I've used like express curves, and I've curved it best I can without being too over the top. And that's it. I think this is going to be final. I might tweak it a little bit, but I'm certainly not spending... I've lost days of my life on this at the minute. And, I mean, my missus is going frantic about it. I think she thinks I've lost my mind, the amount of time I've spent on this. But I kind of need to get design right before I build shed, because I need to build room. It's going in, don't I? Because I've changed it from 10 metres, which I took my young swimming baths as 10 metres wide, aren't they? And they're absolutely ridiculous building a 10 metre long shed. This is going to be massive still, so I think it'll be all right. Anyway, that's it. Let us know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. That's a long one, isn't it, with that on end, but some of you might have watched it, some of you might not. Cheers. Hey, if any of you are still left, this is a last-minute update that I've had the next day. I've slept since, so I might have changed that plan in my head again, but who knows. I think what I'm going to do now is just crack on building, and then we can sort of plan afterwards, because it's giving me a headache now.